welcome to Book Nook. I'm Lynn Kessler with Read Aloud West Virginia. We're so glad you joined us today. With me today I have Wygene Sharp. She works in accounting for American Electric Power. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We're really happy to have you. Okay, tell me a little bit about what you do with American Electric Power.
I work in payroll and accounting for American Electric Power, the John Amos plant in Winfield, West Virginia. I have 36 years service in accounting.
Wonderful. And you are also a trained Read Aloud volunteer, which you got introduced to through American Electric Power. Is that right?
Yes. The company that I've been blessed to work for is taking reading seriously in the education of children and allows us to go out and volunteer to the schools and read to the children, promote education. Also, we use that opportunity to educate the children on electricity, how electricity is made, and also power outages that we've been experiencing the last couple of winters. So we use it as a resource tool for education also.
That's wonderful. And we are so grateful for all of the volunteers through AEP and Appalachian Power and all of our volunteers, of course, but we really appreciate your involvement with the organization. Appalachian Power also supports Read Aloud in various ways, but I know American Electric Power and Appalachian Power also have a Read to Me Day that they initiated. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, that happens once a year all throughout the state of West Virginia. And we have some interesting books that have been introduced to the state of West Virginia, and it's an exciting opportunity. The children are very, very receptive of readers, and they're very appreciative, and they want to know when can we come back. Mm-hmm. And they're like sponges, and we really enjoy that opportunity.
We find that a lot of our volunteers report that the kids love it, the kids enjoy it, and the kids get so much out of having a business person or just anybody who's interested in them and invested in them and their education come and read to them and just have a good time and spend some time with them. But we also hear a lot from our volunteers that they were surprised at how much they enjoyed it.
Yes, yes.
So that's always nice to hear. They come out saying, I learned as much from the children as they learned from me.
Yes, and I personally love to read, so it's enjoyable to introduce reading to the children. And also, I stress that reading is not optional, it's mandatory. Mm-hmm. It's fun. Mm-hmm. You can travel to places you never would normally be able to travel. Uh-huh. It stimulates your imagination. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun, and as an adult, I let them know I still read. Yes,
and that is so important for them to see people in their community and people that they're forming relationships with and that they respect, to see that those people read and they want to be. We say at Read Aloud that our volunteers are a live commercial for reading. Right, so you're doing a great job at that.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about the role that reading played in your family. You mentioned that you have children.
Yes, I have 2 children. When they were growing up, we made weekly trips to the library. That served as a dual purpose. One was to teach them responsibility. You are checking out someone else's material. You are responsible to take care of this material, and you're also responsible to bring it back. Mm-hmm. Or remind me that we have to have the book back by a certain date. So it taught them responsibility. The second part to that was to make them responsible not just to bring the book back, but also to read it and tell us what you learned. Mm-hmm. So we use it as an educational tool also. Yeah. And one of the exciting parts to that my children told me was when they received their library card, they felt like it was important that they had the ability to check out a book. This is online. So we made our weekly trips, and I was reading also. And there was just something about walking into the library and you were all these books that was just exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's important, that feeling of having their name on the card is a big deal to them.
Right.
And that transfers over to book ownership too. All of the books that we distribute, we make sure that there's a book plate in there that the child can write their name in, because when they see their name on something, they take that ownership of it and
associate themselves with it. That's great.
It's a powerful thing. So well, we love talking with somebody who really gets the benefits of reading and reading aloud.
Yes.
So we appreciate you being here today. I think I will let you read some books for the kids. What book are you going to read first?
Llama Llama Red Pajama.
Okay, that sounds great.
Llama Llama Red Pajama, the author Anna Dowdy. Llama Llama Red Pajama reads a story with his mama. Mama kisses baby's hair. Mama Llama goes downstairs. Llama Llama Red Pajama feels alone without his mama. Baby Llama wants a drink. Mama's at the kitchen sink. Llama Llama Red Pajama calls down to his llama mama. Mama says she'll be up soon. Baby Llama hums a tune. Llama Llama Red Pajama waiting for his mama. Mama isn't coming yet. Baby Llama starts to fret. Llama Llama Red Pajama whimpers softly for his mama. Baby Llama starts to moan. Mama Llama hears the phone. Llama Llama Red Pajama listens quiet for his mama. What is Mama Llama doing? Baby Llama starts boo-hooing. Llama Llama Red Pajama hollers loudly for his mama. Baby Llama stops and pouts, and Baby Llama jumps and shouts. Llama Llama Red Pajama in the dark without his mama. Eyes wide open, covers drawn. What if Mama Llama's gone? Llama Llama Red Pajama weeping, wailing for his mama. Will his mama ever come? Mama Llama, run, run, run. Baby Llama, what a tizzy. Sometimes Mama's very busy. Please stop all this llama drama and be patient for your mama. Little llama, don't you know Mama Llama loves you so? Mama Llama's always near, even if she's not right here. Llama Llama Red Pajama gets 2 kisses from his mama, snuggles pillow soft and deep. Baby Llama goes to sleep. Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day by Judith Voist. I went to sleep with gum in my mouth, and now there's gum in my hair. And when I get out of bed this morning, I tripped on the skateboard, and by mistake, I dropped my sweater in the sink while the water was running, and I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At breakfast, Anthony found a Corvette Stingray car kit in his breakfast cereal box, and Nick found a junior undercover agent code ring in his breakfast cereal box. But in my breakfast cereal box, all I found was breakfast cereal. I think I'll move to Australia. In the carpool, Miss Gibson let Vicky have a seat by the window. Audrey and Elliot got seats by the window too. I said I was being scrunched. I said I was being smashed. I said if I don't get a seat by the window, I am going to be car sick. No one even answered. I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At school, Miss Dickens liked Paul's picture of the sailboat better than my picture of the invisible castle. At singing time, she said I sang too loud. At counting time, she said I left out 16. Who needs 16? I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I could tell because Paul said I wasn't his best friend anymore. He said that Philip Parker was his best friend and that Albert Mayo was his next best friend and I was only his third best friend. I hope you sit on a tack, I said to Paul. I hope the next time you get a double-decker strawberry ice cream cone that the ice cream falls apart off the cone part and lands in Australia. There were 2 cupcakes in Philip Parker's lunch bag, and Albert got a Hershey bar with almonds, and Paul's mother gave him a piece of jelly roll that had little coconut sprinkles on the top. Guess whose mother forgot to put in dessert? It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. That's what it was, because after school, my mom took us all to the dentist and Dr. Fields found a cavity just in me. Come back next week and I'll fix it, said Dr. Fields. Next week, I said, I'm going to be in Australia. On the way downstairs, the elevator door closed on my foot while we were waiting for my mom to get the car. Anthony made me fall where it was muddy, and when I started crying because of the mud, Nick said I was a crybaby. And while I was punching Nick for saying crybaby, my mom came back with the car and scolded me for being muddy and fighting. I am having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I told everyone. No one even answered. So then we went to the shoe store to buy some sneakers. Anthony chose white ones with blue stripes. Nick chose red ones with white stripes. I chose blue ones with red stripes, but then the shoeman said, we're all sold out. They made me buy plain old white ones, but they can't make me wear them. When we picked up my dad at his office, he said I couldn't play with his copy machine, but I forgot. He also said to watch out for the books on his desk, and I was careful as could be except for my elbow. He also said don't fool around with his phone, but I think I called Australia. My dad said please don't pick him up anymore. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day.
There were lima beans for dinner, and I hate lima beans. There was kissing on TV, and I hate kissing. My bath was too hot. I got soap in my eyes. My marble went down the drain, and I had to wear my railroad train pajamas. I hate my railroad train pajamas. When I went to bed, Nick took back the pillow he said I could keep, and the Mickey Mouse night light burned out, and I bit my tongue. The cats want to sleep with Anthony, not with me. It has been a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. My mom says days are like that, even in Australia. The Little House by Virginia Lee Burton. Once upon a time, there was a little house way out in the country. She was a pretty little house. She was strong and well built. The man who built her so well said, "This little house shall never be sold for gold or silver, and she will never live to see our great-great-grandchildren's great-great-grandchildren living in her." The little house was very happy, and she sat on the hill and watched the countryside around her. She watched the sun rise in the morning, and she watched the sun set in the evening. Day followed day, each one a little different from one before, but the little house stayed the same. In the nights, she watched the moon grow from a thin new moon to a full moon, then back again to a thin old moon, and when there was no moon, she watched the stars. Way off in the distance, she could see the lights of the city. The little house was curious about the city and wondered what it would be like to live there. In the long summer days, she sat in the sun and watched the trees cover themselves with leaves, and the white daisies cover the hill. She watched the gardens grow, and she watched the apples turn red and ripen. She watched the children swimming in the pool. Thank you for being with us today. In the fall, when the days grow shorter and the nights grow colder, she watched the first frost turn the leaves to bright yellow and orange and red. She watched the harvest gathered and the apples picked. She watched the children go back to school. In the winter, when the nights were long and days short, in the countryside covered with snow, she watched the children coasting and skating. Year followed year, the apple trees grew old. The new ones were planted. The children grew up and went away to the city, and now at night the lights of the city seemed brighter and closer. One day, the little house was surprised to see a horseless carriage coming down the winding country road. Pretty soon, there were more of them on the road and fewer carriages pulled by horses. Pretty soon, along came survivors and surveyed a line in front of the little house. Pretty soon, along came a steam shovel and dug a road through the hill covered with daisies. Then some trucks came and dumped big stones on the road. Then some trucks with little stones. Then some trucks with tar and sand. And finally a steamroller came and rolled it all smooth, and the road was done. Now the little house watched the trucks and automobiles going back and forth to the city. Gasoline stations, roadside stands, and small houses followed the new road. Everyone and everything moved much faster than before. More roads were made, and the countryside was divided into lots. More houses and bigger houses, apartment houses and tenant houses, schools, stores, and garages spread over the land and crowded around the little house. No one wanted to live in her and take care of her anymore. She couldn't be sold for gold or silver, so she just stayed there and watched. Now it was not so quiet and peaceful at night. Now the lights of the city were bright and very close, and the street lights shone all night. This must be living in the city, thought the little house, and didn't know whether she liked it or not. She missed the field of daisies and the apple trees dancing in the moonlight. Pretty soon there were trolley cars going back and forth. In the front of the little house, they went back and forth all day and part of the night. Everyone seemed to be very busy, and everyone seemed to be in a hurry. Pretty soon there was an elevated train going back and forth above the little house. The air was filled with dust and smoke, and the noise was so loud that it shook the little house. Now she couldn't tell when spring came, or summer, or fall, or winter. It all seemed about the same. Pretty soon there was a subway going back and forth underneath the little house. She couldn't see it, but she could feel and she could hear it. People were moving faster and faster. No one noticed the little house anymore. They hurried by without a glance. Pretty soon they tore down the apartment houses and tenant houses and the little house and started digging big cellars, one on each side. The steam shovels dug down 3 stories on one side and 4 stories on the other side. Pretty soon they started building up. They built up 25 stories on one side and 35 stories on the other. Now the little house only saw the sun at noon and didn't see the moon or stars at night at all, because the lights of the city were too bright. She didn't like living in the city. At night she used to dream of the country and the fields of daisies and the apple trees dancing in the moonlight. The little house was very sad and lonely. Her paint was cracked and dirty. Her windows were broken and her shutters hung crookedly. She looked shabby, though she was just as good a house as ever underneath. Then one fine morning in spring, along came the great-great-granddaughter of the man who built the little house so well. She saw the shabby little house, but she didn't hurry by. There was something about the little house that made her stop and look again. She said to her husband, "That little house looks just like the little house my grandmother lived in when I was a little girl. Only that little house was way out in the country, on a hill covered with daisies and apple trees growing all around." They found out it was the very same house, so they went to the movers to see if the little house could be moved. The movers looked at the little house all over and said, "Sure, this house is as good as ever. She's built so well, we could move her anywhere." So they jacked up the little house and put her on wheels. Traffic was held up for hours as they slowly moved her out of the city. At first, the little house was frightened, but after she got used to it, she rather liked it. They rolled along the big road and they rode along the little roads until they were way out in the country. When the little house saw the green grass and heard the birds singing, she didn't feel sad anymore. They went along, and they couldn't seem to find just the right place. They tried the little house here, and they tried the little house there. Finally, they saw a little hill in the middle of the field, and apples were growing around. "There," said the great-great-granddaughter, "that's just the place." "Yes, it is," the little house said to herself. A cellar was dug on top of the hill, and slowly they moved the house from the road to the hill. The windows and shutters were fixed, and once again they painted her a lovely shade of pink. As the little house settled down on her new foundation, she smiled happily. Once again, she could watch the sun and the moon and stars. Once again, she could watch spring and summer and fall and winter come and go. Once again, she lived in and taken care of. Never again would she be curious about the city. Never again would she want to live there. The stars twinkled above her. A new moon was coming up. It was spring, and all was quiet and peaceful in the country. The Cat in the Hat by Dr. Seuss. The sun did not shine. It was too wet to play. So we sat in the house all that cold, wet day. And then something went bump. How that bump made us jump. We looked, then we saw him step in on the mat. We looked and we saw him, the Cat in the Hat. And he said to us, "Why do you sit there like that? I know it is wet and the sun is not sunny, but we can have lots of good fun that is funny." But one fish said, "No, no, make that cat go away. Tell that Cat in the Hat you do not want to play. He should not be here. He should not be about. He should not be here when your mother is out." Now, have no fear. Have no fear," said the cat. "My tricks are not bad," said the Cat in the Hat. "Why, we can have fun, lots of good fun, if you wish, with a game that I call Up, Up, Up with Fish." "Put me down," said the fish. "This is no fun at all." "Put me down," said the fish. "I do not want to fall." "Have no fear," said the cat. "I will not let you fall. I will hold you up high as I stand on a ball."